Good afternoon, everybody. It's LSP. It's currently the 13th of May, 2022. So I'm going to do the afternoon report, see where we're at with the markets. But before I do, just want to talk about a few things. Firstly, why am I doing these reports so close together? When we're tracking markets, or when we're tracking whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's another asset class, the crypto markets, traditional equities, and so on, it's very important to track flows in real time. Now, obviously, with a market that is as volatile as cryptocurrency can be, and with Bitcoin pretty much able to do whatever it wants at any moment, at any moment in time, it's even more important to stay on top of, the current flow. And then obviously, the closer we keep an eye on these things, the easier it's going to be when something happens, when there's a little shift, when there's some liquidity that's picked up and so on. It's going to be a lot easier to be able to identify that quickly, see what it means, see what the reaction is, kind of piece all this together and give us a better indication as to whether or not this is going to hold and maybe start to drive towards, the 37,000 to 39,000 level, or whether it's going to slowly start to bleed and potentially go into these lower levels that I've made a reference to this morning. So with Bitcoin as it is right now, if we just drop down to the 15-minute chart, I want to show you the structure of price currently, all right? And we'll kind of do it like this. So this is the last portion going into, and just to show you, let me show you first. So that last portion going into this, if I do this, that last portion going in and moving away, this is what we're interested in, right? So you can see price comes down, stabilizes a little bit around about sort of 30 to 31,000, which is expected because 30,000 is a pretty big whole number. It's a psychological level as well. Buyers will step in. I'm sure there was limit orders down there as well. So Bitcoin probably got bought up quite aggressively. You've got some short-term scalping going on here. You can see, with these small reactions and whatnot, but this is an accumulation phase. Price drops, reverses. This, for me, is the manipulation phase. This is, it drops, get everybody short, it reverses, get everybody long, and then start to drive price lower, screw everybody, right? So, and this is how, at least I think of these things. And I know these things happen, obviously, because I've seen them many, many times over the years, but this is how, I see these kind of playing out on the chart. And then obviously we get that kind of acceleration. It comes down a little bit. Now, the breakup of this, and the reason I'm using the 15-minute chart is because I want to really emphasize how price has got down into this level. There's some talk of capitulation. For me, this isn't capitulation. It's not something that I would consider to be, a capitulation move or a capitulated move. Generally, what you tend to find is the acceleration of price, and this is for full capitulation, the acceleration of price into a level, specifically one that you can identify as housing a lot of liquidity or orders. And then when price gets there, it dries up on the way. So it's going so fast and it's moving so quickly and it's so aggressive that by the time it gets to the end, there's nothing left and it just offloads on the way. It trades on the way, back and forth. And then, ultimately when it hits that level, it's objective fulfillment, capitulates, and then there's nowhere else for it to go because there's nothing left. There's nothing left for it to do other than reverse and go the opposite way. So for me, the controlled nature in which this came down, and then you get that little bit of a pop just here and then it starts to kind of grind back up. This isn't, for me, capitulation. It doesn't show capitulation. What it's showing is controlled selling, controlled buying, at a level where we would, expect this to happen. Now, if we go back up to, say, the 4-hour, we can see just here the acceleration into that level, and it's very easy to look at this and say, yep, that's a capitulation. This is why we're getting a little bit of a reversal, right? But again, when we break it down on a lower time frame, we really want to see this on every time frame. That's true capitulation. It's happening on the daily, the 4-hour, the hourly, 15-minute, 5-minute, even as far down as the 1 minute. It's like really just gone right to that tip, to that point. Full capitulation, and then we get the reversal and it starts to go. These are the best reversals to be paying attention to because they're huge market reversals that generally tend to get the market moving in the opposite direction with some pretty decent momentum, right? So going forward, we've had this drop, we've had a little bit of a reversal, nice-ish move. Okay, we're currently, I'm not going to go into too much detail because obviously I could put so much on the chart, but if we just take this consolidation, like this consolidation range just here, we can see that we've hit this level now. It's starting to slow down. If we get above this, start to clear out these highs, the next level is going to be sort of up here, give or take, somewhere around a sort of 34,000 level, which would be fantastic. And then obviously if it starts to grind, at this 34,000, then we can expect a little bit more of a move higher into the upper levels, 37,000 to 39,000. All the while we're paying attention to the buys, the sells. How are these being accumulated and distributed on the way back up? Is it aggressive? Is it sharp? Is price staying at levels for longer periods of time? Is it just kind of drawn out? Is it not really doing much? And all of this tells us whether or not that this huge range consolidation that I showed this morning, massive broad range consolidation, is that we're on the extreme end of this and that we could potentially be running higher to take that sort of next leg up. So we're going to keep an eye on Bitcoin, obviously. So far, so good. A little bit of stabilization. Just ease the market a little bit, slow everything down, give people time to think. If we go over to Binance again, I'm impressed with the response. It would be nice if we just drop down to the 4-hour chart again, clear out these highs. Okay, this is a little bit more pronounced, to be fair. If we drop down to the 15-minute chart, you can see it started to accelerate on that last portion. Okay, so this is a little bit more indicative of capitulation than Bitcoin, which again, it bodes well for Binance. It shows quite a lot. We're not going to see the effects of all the little things that I'm picking up on now until maybe a year down the line. But ultimately, and I'm going to call it now, I genuinely feel that Binance is going off on its own page. And I think it's going to be a pretty strong major player in terms of how it affects the broader market. Because right now it's obviously Bitcoin, but I'm thinking that Binance is probably going to play a much larger role in that later, in the year, and then going into sort of next year and forward. So we want to see this hold, which it looks like it is. Liquidity has been pretty much dried up here. The next area of liquidity, which is interesting, is actually this level just here. So this becomes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference this with just like a really horrible color. No offense, but it's only because my eyes see these colors all the time, and it's a bit of a dull color, but comes in at 350 to around about 360. Okay. This is another interesting level because if it does start to go, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to give too much away of some of the stuff that I look at and some of the things that I do. I'm sorry, obviously I've worked very hard for this, but it would make sense for price to want to be driving up to that level if it starts to gain a little bit more momentum and Bitcoin goes. Now the reason this is slightly different is because of the things that I've just said. With Bitcoin, it's not here. Bitcoin, I just want this to clear this level, and ultimately get to around about 34,000. With Binance, if you just keep a snapshot of Bitcoin and then we go over to Binance, it's different. It's more capitulated. That move going into this level is more likely to happen because there's nothing to stop it. The next area of liquidity is here. Right. So some things to think about. Obviously, we'll continue to monitor as always. In terms of general market sentiment, things have, like I said, slowed down a little bit. Things are easing. But again, we are cautious. We maintain, our wits about us. We make sure that we're not kind of engaging in the market aggressively. Just let the market unfold. Let it do its thing. Don't get too overly zealous. And then we'll see how we kind of play out from there. Just a brief update on UST. Not a lot has changed. Exchanges have reactivated trading on UST, and you can see when that happened if we just drop down to the hourly. Yeah, so the 1 minute, sorry, you can see this is pretty much when it happened, around about sort of 3 o'clock or so, give or take. And then obviously people have used this as an opportunity to just take that little portion going into 18, and then you see profit taking, which again, is it really helping the situation? Absolutely not. We had the same issue here, and it looks like it's stabilizing within this area, but ultimately I maintain my position on UST. I think it's going to be very difficult for this to get back to parity, if at all, to be honest. So again, be cautious, be careful, and then we'll see what the effect is on the broader market as this continues to unfold. Go over to Luna. Not really much to report on Luna, to be honest, guys. I mean, it's pretty shitty, really. Not a very nice situation, for people to be in. What can you do? It's a shame. Obviously, I keep saying the same things over and over again. It would be nice if by some insane miracle all of this gets fixed and corrected, and Luna really starts to make some headway to the upside. But again, we're just going to continue to monitor. We're going to continue to watch this as it unfolds, and one way or another, we will get our answer very, very soon. With all that said, guys, I hope you are well, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next update. Take care.